Qualitative is dealing with a characteristic. Quantitative is numerical, but there are situations where a number may still be qualitative data, depending on if it actually has a numerical value. So nationality, what would that be? Number of children. Household income the previous year. Level of education. Daily intake of whole grains measured in grams per day. Alright, so we seem good with those? So now I want you to take from those quantitative ones, take a second and decide if they would be discrete or continuous. So, remember, discrete means countable. Like we could list every possible answer. Continuous, there are an infinite number of answers. So things that involve decimals are typically continuous, unless it's just like a set number of decimal places that we would use in our answer. So number of children, what would that be? Discrete. Household income the previous year. That one's kind of iffy, isn't it? Because it has decimals, which I told you decimals were typically continuous. However, if I'm talking about money, how many decimal places do we use? 2. So could I list out every one? I don't really want to, but we could because there are a set number of answers we could get with just those 2 decimal places. So that one would actually be discrete. Daily intake of whole grains measured in grams per day. Does it have to be a full gram? No. Is there a standard of how many decimal places we would have to use? No. So that could be continuous. Are we okay with those? Alright, so next one. I want to take a look at this, and I apologize, I know I tried to take a shortcut and copy it out of a book, so it's not the easiest to read. But looking at this table, can you tell me the individuals? So we talked yesterday about population, sample, and individuals. What's the population? Just in general, not in this example. What is a population? Everybody, the entire group. What's the sample? Smaller group out of the population. And then what's an individual? Just one person. Okay, so in this particular scenario, what would my population be? I didn't ask you, but what would the population be, do you think? All countries. We are looking at some different things about countries. So the population would be all countries. The sample would be the countries that we've chosen here to look at. An individual would be what? Yeah, if I just picked one of those countries, each one is an individual. So if I said France, that's an individual. Or Poland is an individual. Okay. Then I want the variables, and if they are quantitative or qualitative, discrete or continuous. So what variables am I concerned with here? For each country we have government type, life expectancy, and population. Those were the things that we were looking. Okay, so now we have to decide qualitative or quantitative. So government type, what would that be? Life expectancy. people, how long they live. Population is now, we need, for the quantitative ones, to know if they're discrete or continuous. So life expectancy in years. In this table, it has 2 decimal places, but is there a standard if I'm measuring how long someone lived? Is there a set number of decimal places we have to go to? No. So life expectancy would be continuous. Okay, population. If I'm looking up here, it's a decimal, but that's just because it's measured in millions. If I'm counting people, can I have a partial person? No. So that would be discrete. Any questions on this? Let's go back to our terms page for a minute. So the last few terms we need to talk about. This is not something that we will use a lot, but when we're talking about variables, they have levels of measure. Do you guys want me to let you write before I talk? Would that help? Okay. I'll let you write for a minute and then I'll talk about it. So the levels here are different ways we can categorize variables essentially. And there are 4 levels essentially. Everything starts at the top, starts at nominal, and you're wanting to see if it would move up to a higher level. So nominal data, all we can do is break it into categories. There's no way to put it in a meaningful order. So like gender, nationality, those types of things. We can't put them in order and say, oh, this would be first and this would be second. So that is strictly nominal data. Hair color, eye color, those kinds of things. Ordinal, we can break them into categories, but we can rank them. So there is some kind of order that would be associated with it. So maybe it would be like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Okay, you're broken into groups, and we can put those in a meaningful order. It's not saying, freshmen are the worst and seniors are the best, but it makes sense. You start as a freshman, then you're a sophomore, then you're a junior. So that order would be meaningful. Those 2 types, nominal and ordinal, we see those with qualitative data. So if your data is qualitative, it will be one of those 2. If you have numerical data, then it is either interval or ratio. So each level has all the attributes of the level before, but we add something new. So interval, we can still categorize it, we can still rank it, but then it's evenly spaced. There is the same distance between one group and the next. If I ask you, okay, I'm going to give you a question, I want you to rank it 1 through 10. Okay, you can pick a number, and there's the same distance between 1 and 2 as there is between 8 and 9. They're evenly spaced out. Ratio goes one step further, so it can be categorized, ranked, evenly spaced. The key thing, it has a natural 0. So 0 is meaningful there. If I'm saying rank these from 1 to 10, is there a 0 in that case? No. But if I said, I don't know, how much, if I said temperature, can we have a temperature of 0? Yes, but does 0 actually mean 0? Can we go below that level? Yes, So because of that, even though it has a 0, it's not a true 0 in that it's not the stopping point. So if you can have negatives, you would have to call it the interval level. My general rule of thumb when I'm working with these and trying to decide, because it can be tricky and sometimes there's some gray area, it's not always a clear cut one or the other. I first ask myself, is it qualitative or quantitative? And that narrows it down to a 50-50. So qualitative, then I'm like, okay, can I put them in order? If so, it's ordinal. If not, it's not. Quantitative, we know it's one of these. I ask myself, does it have a meaningful 0? Is 0 a possible answer? And does 0 actually mean 0? If I said, how long did it take you to eat your lunch? Okay, is it possible to have a true time of 0 if you don't eat lunch at all? Yeah, I mean, if you didn't eat lunch, how much time did you spend eating lunch today? Could you say 0? Yes. Can you go below that? No, so the amount of time you spent doing that could in fact be a true 0, so that would be a ratio level measurement. You guys kind of understand that? Okay, so these can be tricky. I want to practice a few, and then we're actually going to do some practice on our Chromebooks as well. So let's look at this example. A study was conducted to assess school eating patterns in high schools in the United States. The study analyzed the impact of vending machines and school policies on student food consumption. A total of 1,088 students in 20 schools were surveyed. Determine the level of measurement of the following variables in the study. So A, the number of snack and soft drink vending machines in the school. So first of all, is that qualitative or quantitative? Quantitative. So that means it's either interval or ratio. Does it have a meaningful 0? Does 0 mean 0? Yes. So that would be ratio data. B, whether or not the school has a closed campus policy during lunch. Is that qualitative or quantitative? Qualitative. So it's either nominal or ordinal. Can I put that in a meaningful order? No, it's either yes or no. I can't put that in order, so that means this has to be nominal data. I can break it into a category, but I can't put it in any kind of order. Class rank. I shouldn't have used this example already. So, is that qualitative or quantitative? Qualitative. Can we put it in order? Yes. So that would be ordinal data. Okay, D, the number of days per week a student eats school lunch. Is that qualitative or quantitative? Quantitative. Okay, can it be 0? So that would be ratio. Are those okay? So what I want you to do next is go to Google Classroom. And there is a practice here. It's not for a grade, so just take your time, try it, and I want to see how we do. We'll probably talk about it once everybody's finished. So it has a little bit of all the different things we talked about. Qualitative or quantitative, discrete, continuous, and then ranking those.